Hello, everyone. My name is Malik Glee. I am the Senior Program Manager at the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council, and I want to thank you for coming to our first entrepreneurship, or the Entrepreneur rather, series. The Entrepreneur series is to help prepare artists and creatives for the next level of entrepreneurship and creativity. And we're really ecstatic to kick off the series with our very own county artist, Kayla Harley, who today is presenting for us the wealth mindset. Before I give the baton to Kayla, I just like to share that if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to drop questions in the comments and I'll be taking notes. If you're actually in the Zoom call, we will be doing Q&A at the end, so you can hold your comments, or if you feel more comfortable writing them in the chat box so you don't forget, that's fine as well. I'll be observing the comments on Facebook and the comments here on Zoom so that I can help Kayla with any questions that may come out at the end of her presentation. And without further ado, Kayla Harley is a creative performance artist, author, curator, director, and community engagement leader, and she is a native of Prince George's County, Maryland. Since graduating from Suitland High School for the Visual and Performing Arts, Kayla has had an extensive career in dance and theater, touring internationally and teaching the next generation of emerging artists. Her passion in curating community events, galvanizing people for positive change, healthy and sustainable living, and bringing innovative ideas to life. She is a self-published author and mentor for the arts. And she's going to give us a little bit. I know she has a new book, and so hopefully we'll hear a little bit about that during this presentation. But now I turn it over to Kayla.
Thank you, Malik. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Whether you are tuning in with us on Facebook or in the meeting, I so appreciate you being here. Thank you for the warm welcome. And I will briefly introduce myself as well. But before I do, I would love to give a few housekeeping notes about today's presentation and share. So first and foremost, if you haven't registered with us on Eventbrite, if you could in the chat box, please write your name and your email address so that we can stay connected with you. The next thing is you'll see there a PDF file. We will be referencing this file during the presentation. So you can go ahead and click it, download, make sure that everything works just fine. As well as you see two links there. We will touch on these links as part of the presentation. So hold off on those links, but we will get to that. And again, thank you to Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council for hosting the Artrepreneur series. I'm humbled by their enthusiasm for me to share, which is today's workshop is based off of my book, A Broke Dancer's Guide to Success. Now, although it's entitled for dancers, this actually is for all artists. So if you're a singer, actor, actress, you work in production, film, cinematography, you're a poet, this is for you. And this is the basics, budgeting, one-on-one, financial literacy, the things that they didn't teach us in college. No shade, but it happens to be my personal journey, coming to understand finances and coming to understand how to make the most of my career and how to sustain myself in having a career in the arts. So I'll preface this by saying you can get this book on Amazon in print as well as an ebook for $19.99 in print, or as an ebook $9.99 as your very own. And then today I will share with you at the end of the presentation how you can get your own copy, a signed copy from me for a discounted rate. So I am the founder of CEO Incorporated, Creative and Equal Opportunities Incorporated. We are an information and resource site, and we just help artists bring a little black and white to their world of color. So make sure that you have the info that you need, make sure that you're plugged in, and if you have any questions or you need support, we're there for you. Let's see. Right, well, I think we can get started. Today's presentation will be backed by the Fela Kuti, and I thought it was appropriate to bring in Beasts of No Nation, as he happens to be an artist as well as a humanitarian, and I'm just a fan. So I'm going to switch the screen now to the presentation. right. Welcome if you're just coming in. Just a quick reminder, click the PDF file in the chat box so you have access to it. Write your name and your email in the chat box if you did not sign in and register through Eventbrite, and then we can get started for today. Malik, how's everything looking?
Everything is good. We have viewers on Facebook. And again, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to leave your questions in the chat box and we will answer them at the end of the presentation.
Awesome. All right. Artists are brilliant. I dare say geniuses, master crafters, thinkers, innovators, and everyday people. When it comes to creativity, the world is at our fingertips. The work that we do changes lives. The caliber at which we create and produce is outstanding. It touches the soul. It saves lives. In times of despair like these, when people barely have enough to hold on to, it's art, a new creation that gives hope and that nudge of faith. And for artists, constantly reinventing ourselves. Art can be one's will to live. Even just a simple finger paint or being a witness to a marvelous work if you're an advocate, there is nothing that an artist cannot do. We are the ones, as President Obama says, that we have been waiting for. Artists shape the world. It is through our eyes that they see. Right? And if you can, I'm just going to ask everyone to mute their microphone and we'll keep pressing on. So this is just a little disclaimer. Per A Broke Dancer's Guide to Success, I am not a financial advisor, nor am I a financial professional. However, I am bringing you into my personal journey of understanding financial literacy one-on-one. All right. I do encourage everyone to seek professional financial advising, counseling, reach out to someone. And I know it's a pinch, but go ahead and invest in yourself and hire a professional if you need help. These are my personal findings, research, and discovery through personal experience. And when you leave today, these are the things that I would like for you to remember. Just as artists already do, when it comes to your finances and when it comes to building and creating a financial portfolio, continue to show up for yourself. Every day, do the work. Maybe every week, weekly thing, do the work. You are the researcher, and you, just like creating art, can discover what works for you. Ask for help. Ask for help. We don't all know everything, and that is okay. Set that appointment. Book a professional. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in right now. When it comes to working with nonprofit organizations, they actually depend on you to reach out to them for professional help when it comes to your finances, because their grants are predicated upon how many people they actually reach. So think about that. You may have access to free resources, including from your bank and your financial institution. And the last point, track progress. We'll touch a little bit on this towards the end of the presentation, but there are so many, again, resources and apps and programs that you have access to and that you can use along your journey to understanding and creating your financial portfolio. I've already touched on this, but again, if you're just joining us, you have access to A Broke Dancer's Guide to Success on Amazon as well as today, and I will share with you how you can get access to that. Take a look at this icon here. Let me see if I can get a cursor going. If ever you see this icon in the presentation, you can ask questions, all right? So power to the people, that's our raising of hands. I will take questions on certain points of the presentation today, but then at the end, that will be the better time to answer questions. Pressing on. All right. So when it comes to this book, the very first thing, the very first question that I pose to artists is, are you really broke? Are you really what they say you are? Are they really, and are you really what maybe you have been saying about yourself? So are you a broke artist, or are you actually an empowered decision maker, or a EPM, as I like to say? The difference between being an artist and being someone who's got it all together when it comes to their money is your decision making. We are all just one decision away from doing the very best or not so much. It's simple. Either you're spending money and losing it, or you're saving, building, investing, and growing. So every day, with each decision that you make, whether you're going to the corner store, whether you're buying groceries, whether you're hanging out with a friend, you are making daily steps. You are deciding where your money's going and what you're doing with it. And each day you make a stride towards one or the other, depending upon your goals, depending upon your budget, depending upon your lifestyle, and depending upon who you are. Whether it's $1, whether it's 100, 1,000, 100,000, or a million, it's what you do, it's what you decide to do with your money that changes and redirects the course of your finances. So I want us to do a little exercise together. So this is a gospel singer, Anthony Brown, and this is a moment of victory for him. When it comes to the idea of being broke, I think it's a false identity. And when we can reclaim the truth about who we are as people and empowered decision makers, then we become a lot better. And it starts with the mindset, hence today's wealth mindset workshop. So I want you to think, and I'm going to lead you into the next part of this, but just think for a moment. What are some of the taboo things as an artist you tend to think about when it comes to being an artist and being broke, or not having the money, or just not knowing where to get the money, or how to keep it up, or how to sustain your life? So just think about that for a second, because again, this is a false identity. This is a myth. So the back of this book actually says, I dedicate this to the fame babies, because in the 80s, this was actually a trophy lifestyle, right? If you live for the art, if you just breathed and drank and ate art, and you're fine, and everything else doesn't quite matter. That's not going to work in the 21st century. So what can we do to go forth and to be a lot better in how we think about ourselves as artists? All right. So for those of you who are hanging out with me on Zoom, I want you to go ahead and that's everyone who's here, and click that very first link. So this may require for you to open up a new tab, Slido, and I want you to answer this question with me today. What are some, just throw out taboo feelings, thoughts, phrases, maybe even quotes, or whatever comes to mind when you think about an artist and when you think about being broke? So this is a transparent, shameless place here. Go ahead and click that link, and it will lead you to the prompt question. And we are going to create a word map together. All right. So if you are on Facebook and you don't have access to the link, you can go to slido.com, put in this number, or if you're on your phone and you're really fancy, then you can scan the code there. All right, we got a first word up there. Very nice. Starving. Woo! Living for the art. You wait and you don't initiate. I love that. limitations, lack of planning. Nice. These are some really good words, everyone. Really good words. I love that you wait and you don't initiate. Why do we do that as artists? Is it that we're just so humble? Is it a part of our training? Have we been told to just wait our turn? What is the mindset that's led us to believe that we're not capable and we don't deserve to live a value and high worthy lifestyle just by being an artist? And that's a rhetorical question, and I tend to ask a lot of those. Unorganized. Yeah. You know, it's the beauty and the curse of it, right? You're this genius and you have this scattered brain ideas just jumping out at you all the time. This is why we say bringing black and white to a world of color, reining things in. So today we're gonna touch on that. Awesome. Thank you for your participation. I'll leave it up for any last words. All right. Awesome. All right, let's go on. So I want you to continue to think about those words, those activations, those thoughts, as I lay this before you. So this is just the basic standard one-on-one things you should know. And as you can see, fist pump is up. If you have any questions, any brewing, burning questions that you've had for a while or something that you've been thinking about, when it comes to any of these words, you are welcome to, in the chat, go ahead and ask any questions. But this is just your standard glossary. This is just the things that you should know when it comes to money, when it comes to budgeting, right? So for those of us, for example, and I won't stay too long on it, I'm just going to wait for your questions.
Goal and expectation is, so if you have this black male and he has a choice between a light-skinned girl.
I think somebody's got their, okay, cool. All right. Any questions at all? If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, or Malik is on standby on Facebook. You're more than welcome to ask any questions when it comes to any of these words that jump out at you. Yes, 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 yes. Uh-oh. All right. Got you. So this is my charge to you. Instead of being depressed, instead of feeling low, guilt shaming, guilt spending, why not start throwing yourself a portfolio party? So this is similar to a vision board, right? You would create the things that you want to see or how you see yourself moving forward. Start to celebrate yourself in these milestones that you make. For example, if you've called and spoken with a counselor, boom, that's a milestone. Celebrate that. You know, I don't know, have a glass of tea, have a glass of wine. Call up your friend and say, I did this. This is amazing. You should know this. Let me hook you up. I know this person. You should talk to them. You know, have yourself a portfolio party. And as you build upon your portfolio, which is the same thing as a resume or a CV, right? It's just your money and you're tracking your progress. Throw yourself a portfolio party. So I want to touch on income because this is something that I've often gotten confused when it comes to taxes, is the different tiers of income. So your gross income, right? Gross, think of the huge, the large amount. That's everything. That's everything that you earn monetarily before taxes, before anything's deducted, before you write out your expenses, before any tax credits, before anything is the gross amount. The second thing is your AGI, your adjusted gross income. Now, this is after you have taken away your deductions. Now, deductions are expenses, ways that you have spent money that are taxable, right? So for instance, if you happen to be a business owner, my entrepreneurs, or if you're starting a business, every time you go on a business venture, you take a train, plane somewhere, or your gas, any of those kinds of things to meet someone, you can begin to deduct from your income, how you have spent that money. And I think that that's a great way for artists or entrepreneurs to begin to think about yourself, even if you're not an entrepreneur or yet. Because when it comes to taxes, they automatically put your expenses in as if you were an entrepreneur. They're starting to do that. They're starting to structure it in that way. So, so why not? Then you have your net. So think of a net that catches things, right? That's everything. So this is your total income after expenses, after you have deducted your cost of goods and materials. My teaching artist, this is for you. If you're like me and you're really colorful and you like to get cards and visuals and all these kinds of things, this is what you want to be putting in your cost of goods and materials and your deductions. And also I have to go ahead and plug this in, start to keep a track of those expenses and build these organizations and these institutions. And so whatever is left after all of those things that you have canceled, cleared out, that is what you catch in your net. All right, moving on. So did you know that when it comes to finances, this is actually a mental and emotional relationship that you have to money? We all do. There is a reason, again, being a decision maker, why you spend the money the way you do, or why you allocate or set it aside in the way that you set it aside. So this is Dr. Barry. I came to know her through Mindful magazine, and I want us to do an exercise together. So go ahead and you can lean away, step away, or what have you. I want you to grab your wallet. Grab your wallet. I want you to grab your wallet or your purse or your bag. If you want to imagine you're doing it, that's fine too. Just hold your hand together and just hold it firmly, or hold your hand firmly. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale. Hold the breath for a second and exhale. So how do you feel when you hold your wallet or your purse in your hand? How do you feel when you have to go to your bank physically or online? This is your relationship with your money. What do you think about when you have to go grab for your wallet? Do you dread it? What do you think about when you have to look at your bank account? Is one eye closed? Do you feel resentful? Do you feel a sense of guilt or shame? Is it frustrating to you? This is a mental or cognitive emotional relationship that we have with our money. And I'll share a personal experience. For me, I used to guilt shame a lot when it comes to spending. I would buy something because I meant to buy it, and then immediately afterwards, I would think about, why did I do that? Why did I purchase it? Is there a way, can I reverse this? I'm going to call my bank. I'm going to just, call them up and tell them it's an accident. That is an unhealthy relationship that we have with our finances when we think that way and when we approach it. That's a reactive and a responsive way of thinking about our money instead of a relational, intimate relationship that we should have with our money. We should want to know the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. We should be able to assess it on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis without that fear, without that resentment, without that regret. And it's also how you relate to others, your peers, your colleagues, your friends, society, organizations. By now, you should know at least one person in your bank, credit union, or financial institution personally. Go on a lunch date with them. Sit down and have a conversation. Why? Because it's what you're doing that keeps them running. It's the fact that you have allowed your money to be housed there to circumvent, right, in the money matrix, or we call it the system, that they're able to run and they're able to be sustainable. So you shouldn't have any fear that, I'm an artist, they're not going to get me. I'm just this person, I'm not quite there yet. No, step in there with confidence and say, you know what, I want to take my time today. Can I book an appointment? Call someone and say you want to come in, have lunch with your banker. It's a real thing. Okay, so there we go. We did the exercise together, but again, just like we did in Slido, we're not going to do it here now, but how do you feel when it comes to money? Do you tense up? Notice your muscles. Are you frustrated? Are you anxious? Are you whatever it is? You want to start to disseminate that. You want to start to alleviate those thoughts and those feelings so that you can come into creating and building your financial portfolio with confidence and freedom, right? This is about doing the work to achieve freedom. So here are a couple of archetypes, and this isn't everything. I haven't touched on everything, right? But just that I've come across when I think about artists, the procrastinators. These are often the geniuses who say, you know what, it's not time yet. You know, we get really deep. It has to wait. It's not ready. And they actually are fueled on waiting to the very last minute to do something, pushing back, waiting. Someone said waiting to initiate. Then you have the perfectionists. Everything has to be a masterpiece. How many times have you created something and then completely balled it up and thrown it away? Here's a tip. You don't have to do that with money. Why? Because money is black and white. Money is math. You don't have to create a masterpiece. You just have to sit down and do the work. And it's, you do A, you add B, you get C. Simple as that. Then you have the isolated loner. Again, this is self-esteem, confidence, that cognitive emotional relationship that I spoke about earlier. Not even wanting to consult with anyone, or because you're so ashamed, or you just want to figure it out yourself, or maybe you think it's just, that's the way. Okay, you know, I'm marginalized, like I don't deal with them people, I'm not voting, I don't want to get involved. Again, I respect that, but when it comes to your money, until you start getting involved and still you start to develop a presence in this money matrix, I dare say, you will remain disconnected and you will remain disadvantaged. Why? Because everything is becoming digitized, right? Cash flow is starting to change. They've got every app in the world, Venmo, Cash App, you name it, that is keeping track of you. So honestly, you have no choice, I dare say, but to begin to identify in a healthy way. Even with Cash App, when you sign up for Cash App, they ask you for your social security number. But this is not something that we should fear or run away from, but embrace and go to with a sense of sound confidence and the right information, which is why I encourage you to get a financial advisor or counselor or hire someone. We'll talk about that later. And the last one is the reject. Maybe you have tried. Maybe you have been out there and someone says you've got great potential and you know you're a genius and I love your work, but you keep getting over. Someone keeps getting over on you and you don't really get to plummet in the way and progress and succeed in the way that you deserve, worthiness. So I'm hoping with all the conversation and the talks and the webinars that are happening in this climate that we will begin to see change. And I also encourage you to gently, but still firmly press into the organizations that you work with as well and talk to them about the kind of worth that you deserve. And if they can't have it, then say, okay, well, let's talk about the future. Stay on them and stay in it. Don't let anyone rush you. Don't accept no for an answer. Dig deep. Go into and challenge them and talk to them about their core values as organizations because you deserve it. All right. So this is the very first chapter of my book, Creative Translation. Applying principles, qualities, strengths, and attributes, characteristics, and habits as an artist into your money management. If you command the stage as an actress or an actor, you can command your financial portfolio. You can see the broad spectrum of what needs to happen, right? And decide this is what's working for me. This is what's not working from you. I'm going to remove this. Go ahead if you are, if be that diva and put your foot down. If you're a flutist who plays in a symphony orchestra, then you have the ability to compartmentalize because you understand the importance of the different families in a body of an orchestra. If you're a painter working in a gallery, you understand the importance of deadlines so you can meet those deadlines and you can stay on yourself. If you're a dancer, you know how to measure time and space. Therefore, you're great with negotiation. You're great with reading body language. You're great with assessing things when it comes to having those hard conversations with organizations that you work with and that you work for and you partner with. And we'll talk about partnership later. If you're a singer who holds a note, you have the ability to sustain a company, to run a business. Time management. And that's exactly what this gentleman did here. So this is Jack Bort. He happens to be regional CEO of Digicel, which is the #1, like our Verizon, of cell phone and internet plans in the Caribbean islands. And he's a sweetheart. I happen to know him personally. And in my fear, I reached out to him for a business venture that I wanted to do, and he was very receptive. And I came to learn that he happened to be a vocalist. He happened to actually even perform at some of the gala events for Digicel. And I just thought that was so awesome. But again, that ability to hold that note, you can set the tone for your life, for your portfolio. If you're running a company with just you, holding yourself to the discipline and the standards of running that company, or if you have employees because you want to scale, being able to hold the precedence of what your company means to you. Malik, how are you doing? Facebook people cool? Just checking in.
They're here, but they're a little shy. They're here.
No, it's
But hey,
fine.
Facebook.
It is all good. All right. So this brings me to the first formula that I would like to share with you today. So again, this idea of creative translation, everything that you are as an artist can be applied to building your financial portfolio. So we have here a learned skill plus repetition equals mastery. So what is a learned skill? A learned skill is something that you acquire. It's knowledge. It's something that takes time to adapt to get comfortable with, and to familiarize yourself with. And then once you've done that and you've done it a couple times, then you acknowledge what actually works. So this is the same as learning a new material or choreography. It takes a couple of tries and then you get it right and you move on to the next step. It's the same with building your financial portfolio. That is how you master something that works. Repetition. A very close friend of mine actually taught me that repetition is power. When you find something that works, keep at it, keep doing it. So that, again, it's black and white. It's just math. Hey, I don't have to think about it. I remember what worked for me last time. I'm going to do that again. So here's an example. A learned skill happens to be restraint. Bare necessities. Any Disney fans out there? Okay, so sometimes you have to go into hibernation. That's a part of your glossary, and you have access to that in your PDF. Sometimes you have to take those seasons of 30 days to just do the bare minimum: food, water, and shelter. Why? Because I'm building myself up so that maybe I can go on a vacation, or maybe I can invest in a company or a stock or a house. Or that thing, whatever is important to you, whether you're an emerging artist, young, or pre-professional, or you're professional in your season, or maybe you're a transitioning artist. And I will say that CEO Incorporated is working on a transitional program for artists to begin to know exactly what you can and should be doing to go to the next step. So restraint. Here's an example. It's a myth that credit cards will save you. They will not save you. Credit cards are not an extension of your income. You only should be spending not 20%. You only should be spending what you can afford to pay back on your next pay period. That's how you stay on top of things. Now, they say 30% usage of credit cards, and I say be safe and keep it down to 20%. So, for an example, if you have $100 credit builder's loan or credit card, you should at the very least be spending $80 and keep that down to 20. Keep that down to $20, or whether, did I say that right? Or 1,000. Keep that very, very low. Keep it minimal. It's a trick when they say just pay the minimum. Do not pay the minimum. Always pay a little extra when it comes to your credit card, because you are accruing interest every single month. It's just something that they do. And they do that to test your credit worthiness. If you can pay off what you owed, as well as a little bit of bump, we're going to give that back. Thing to know when it comes to your taxes, you will get that back if you keep track of the fact that you are paying it on time and you are on top of things. And then later I will share with you the MRS system, which is also a part of a Broke Dancer's Guide to Success. So here's a learned skill. And when you learn restraint and discipline and you practice and you repeat that for a solid 21 days, as it said, you can acquire a new skill or habit within 21 days, then you're on your way to mastery. All right, which brings me to my next formula. What mastery is also is making mistakes, getting your feet wet. C for comprehension, understanding what went wrong or what works for you and is going to be the right way to take things the next time. And practice. That is how you build up an expertise. So why would somebody come to Cherie to hire her? Because she's dependable, she's professional, she's done this before, and she's known for it. That is an expert. That is developing an expertise. The next thing or way of spinning this formula is mastery plus confidence equals proof, and therefore you're an expert. So one skill down, repeated it, it works for you, you're a master, you know? Or, for instance, as an artist, maybe 10 years, you dare say you can call yourself a master with confidence. And then proof that it has been working for you. Keep at it. Repetition is the name of the game. Next formula. Can anybody guess what this means? Just take a wild guess. And if you think you have an idea, put it in the chat box, Facebook or on Zoom here. This is Shannon. Shannon is a stepper, a performer, an actress, an actress, excuse me. She's from the DC area, but she lives in LA right now. This is actually a part of Clay Productions, Isis Clay. She happens to be a thespian and director, script writer, and she put together a production for high schoolers here in the DMV area, and I believe she just recently toured it. And so Shannon is a part of this production. And I think Renee can actually help me out and remind me the name of the production. It's about being in high school and coming of age. All right, no guesses?
Standing on the Edge.
Standing on the Edge. Woo!
I had to think of it, but unfortunately I don't yet have this lovely equation. I wish I had that.
Okay, well, Kemba says execution plus vision. You know what? Yes, ma'am. I like that. What about the up sign and that little symbol next to it? Yep, she's close. So it's expertise plus virtue, and then the up sign and the infinity. That means you keep it going, keep it circumventing. Plus, again, 21 days that it takes to build a habit is your lifestyle. That's your lifestyle. It's self-explanatory. So let's talk about hibernation for a second, and just going into the bare necessities or finance fasting or fiscal freeze. If you only just make sure that all your bills are paid, you got food in the house, you're reporting to work, And then you just come home for 30 or 21 days, excuse me, and just create. You're not going out, you're not doing happy hours, you're not spending excessively, you're not guilt shaming yourself for spending or spending because you guilt shame yourself. You're just hanging out in your season with this fast, building on that expertise, and then adding virtue to it, right? That's your vision. And keep circumventing that as many times as you need to. It should work in your favor. And it becomes like butter, easy lifestyle. All right, so I'm going to see if this video plays. This is another learned skill or something that you may consider for my entrepreneurs. So as I mentioned earlier, the importance of credit worthiness, being a part of the matrix system, or, reporting to the man, however you want to do it, the things that we don't want to do as artists. God, building credit worthiness means that you need credit, and it's extremely challenging, I know, to get credit. If you apply for credit cards, sometimes they deny you, and it makes your credit score go down. Doesn't that suck? Ugh. A fair credit score is between 600 to 630. A fair to good credit score is 630 to your 680. Good, great, the bracket that you really want to be in is in that 680 to 720. Anything above that, you can have the black card, right? So if they're rejecting you, you might consider self. Let's see what they have to say.
I think the audio's going in and out.
Sorry about that. All right, so how about this? I just narrate. Lender's loan is when you loan money to yourself, but you ask for help in doing it in order to show credit worthiness. So, for instance, you might go to self or any other form of self lending loan and say, you know what, I want to lend $500 to myself. So, right away, you might go, I don't know, let's see, what do you call it with your phone? Get a better phone. And it costs $400. So right away, you save up. You have to have the cash. Save up to be able to actually afford that phone. And then go ahead and swipe the card or use the credit through self or any self lender's loan to get your phone and then pay it off right away. That is a way to put your ticket in the system, the money matrix, and say, look, I've got it and I can cover it. Here it is. And once they see your credit worthiness, then you can continue to increase your credit worthiness and they will give you more money. You might also consult with your bank or your credit union and say, I want to get a credit builder's loan. So they'll loan you a start of $100, $200, maybe even $1,000, depending on your FICO score, your credit score. And you do the same thing. You make a large purchase or sums of purchases, and right away you pay it off to show and to keep your expenses beneath that 30 percentile of paying back to show them your credit worthiness. So I think this is a great start. For myself, again, I'm bringing you a along my personal journey to understanding finances, this worked for me. I started off with just $200 and I paid it off right away. And then the next time they gave me $1,000, and then they continued to increase based on my credit worthiness and based on my activity. Now, again, if you're doing the guilt shame thing, where you're calling your bank and your financial institution every now and then and saying, I didn't mean to do that, or cut me some slack. Every time you get an overdraft fee, they're not going to see you worthy to give you credit. So be mindful of your activity within a 30 days span of time, and so on and so forth. Let me make sure okay, cool. No fists up there, then keep moving. So you've seen this, the alignment, values, intentions, goals, dreams, affirmations. Affirmations do work. So just like you did with your wallet, anytime you are ready to take a next step in your life, I want you to do that. I want you to either write down the name of your bank, or maybe even if you're a visual person, go to your website and I want you to put a price on your dreams. And I want you to hold your dreams and I want you to affirm them and say that I can do this. I am capable. I am worthy of living the kind of life that I deserve. Even if others don't see that in me, I choose to be patient and to be kind with myself if I make a mistake. I choose to ask for help and to trust my intuition when things don't seem right. I will take my time, and I have what it takes to build the life that I deserve. Anytime I have gone to self-help books for finances, this is the very first thing that they say. You need to assess yourself. You need to assess where you are right here now before you start saying yes to the get rich quick schemes, before you start to tag on to another thing. Hold for a second. It's about how you manage your energy, manage your time, and manage the decisions that you're making. So I want to take a break here because I know how it can be with lectures. I was supposed to do what you need to do for yourself. And I will also take any questions, any comments, anything that I've covered thus far before we go into the latter part of today's presentation, workshop, share, and yeah. We're gonna keep vibing and celebrating. Juneteenth is the season. Hey. All right. How y'all doing? So I want to share with you a few of the tips that you can find in A Broke Dancer's Guide to Success. Again, it doesn't matter if you're a dancer, singer, actress, actor, screenwriter, producer, whoever you are, this is for you. We're turning the mindset around from calling ourselves and thinking about ourselves as being broke and lacking value and worth as artists because maybe that's what they told us, to being an empowered decision maker. Awesome, Beatrice. So this guide number 2 is from the Money Train. It's called Tip Yourself. One of my favorite R&B artists happens to be The Dream. And y'all know that song? Yeah, you should tip her, you should tip her. Tip yourself. Leave a little bit over, always. So leave a little extra money over when you are paying your bills, replenishing accounts, so that when you return to it, you will have leverage, a head start, a greater advantage point, something to work with. There's nothing more daunting than dropping a penny in the bucket and hearing that empty sound. So leave a little left over for yourself, little cushion, little leverage, $10, $20, $50, $100 if you have the discipline. And then one day, folks, we're going to get to the point where we got $1,000 cool sitting right there. Yeah. In fact, we'll touch on it later. The emergency funding. And if I don't say it, make sure you remind me. All right, let's go on to the next tip. Couponing and surveys. Actually did a live the other day about this. And, today doesn't have to stop. It can continue as a series, whether with PGAHC or just with Creative and Equal Opportunities Incorporated. So make sure that you follow on Instagram. That's at CEOINSyncArts, as well as check out our website. Couponing is the best thing. Right about now, and you'll find that in your PDF file, Fetch is my go-to app. Every time I grocery shop, I win points. I get an accrue points just from spending money. You know the deal, cash back. It's a little annoying, I know, take some time. Do this on your Soul Sunday. Fill out surveys. They will give you points. They will give you cash back. You'll get incentives on hotels when you travel, when you fill out surveys. It's a real thing. The next thing I want to say, and my money bag is over there, I'm going to leave it, is keep your receipts. I know we're moving into virtual and digitized, and you may be beyond, you may be the paperless, okay, and that's cool too, but keep your receipts. Why? Because when you go to write out on your flow chart and your expense list and your budget, what it is you spent money on, you say, okay, I went to Target and it was a business purchase. The IRS is not going to trust that. They need to see your itemized purchases to see, okay, you might have gone to Target and spent $56, but only 21 of those dollars that you spent actually was predicated towards a business expense. So make sure that you are itemizing, make sure that you are keeping track of all of your receipts. They even have an app where you can take a picture of your receipts and store that in a file as well. Google Drive thus far has been my friend. I can make as many folders as I want. And in the future, CEO Incorporated will create a software and program just for artists in which you can keep track of your expenses and your finances and everything. So look out for us in the future. So that's the I think those are 3 tips right there. Oh, and then pooling. I think pooling is great for artists. When you're having a good time, when you're eating out, when you're doing happy hour, if you are around trusted people, rotate and, let the person who owns the purse or the credit card or whatever, or that person who's trying to up their ante and get some rewards points on their expenses, let them pay for everything. And then you pull and do the Venmo and do the Cash App and everything later, instead of swiping a bunch of different cards. So there's just an idea. All right. So right now, what's the hot topic? Payment protection plan. But for artists, If you don't work for a company that has payment protection, maybe you work for a nonprofit organization, maybe you're self-employed, maybe you have a side hustle, this doesn't apply to you. But instead, what does apply to you is your purpose protection plan. Again, changing the mindset, or your personal protection plan. Ways to play it smart. This is all about energy, right? Money and currency are energy. It's where you go. It's what you do. It's how you spend that time and that energy that turns to currency, which is why we're now moving into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, all these things, because all people have to do is type their fingers or hit a button and money flies. So I want you to think about when you go out and do something, don't think about your desire, your want in the moment. I want you to think about the power that you have in pushing that button and what it actually does and how it directs you in, again, the spending or the saving. Set a standard for yourself. That is your purpose protection plan. Create agency for yourself. And if you're an independent artist, this is going to be for you, or entrepreneur, this is going to be for you. You have to create your own agency if you are not housed in one, or protected by one, or represented by one. So you have to begin to run your daily do's and don'ts and expenditures as if you are actually your own agency. All right. Oh, one last thing I want to touch on, which is contracts. There is an entire, I think, 45-minute series in our blog on the website, www.ceocreative.org. Don't worry, it's in your PDF file. If you joined in later, or maybe Malik will hook you up later, it's at the very top of the chat. You can download it. Let's see. When you go to our website, in the blog, you will see that we talk about contracts. What I want you to do as an exercise for your PPP, for your payment protection, for your purpose protection plan, is to create your ideal contract. What does that actually look like for you? If you had everything your way, perfectly laid out, how much money would you make? How much time would you spend doing this, working with this institution, organization, or person, or project? What kind of people would they be? What would the relationship be like? How would you spend your time? What would the schedule be like? I want you to create your ideal contract, and I want you to make that the standard for your entrepreneurship, for your independent contracting, and begin to compare everything that you actually do with that. Now, you're holding yourself to this standard first. And then if it's the kind of space where you can negotiate, then negotiate and say, you know what about this? Can we squeeze this in here? You'll be surprised. People may say yes because they're not quite expecting you. Malik, it's the PDF. It's the PDF. They're not quite expecting you to do that. Oh, says no. Okay. Let me know if you do or you don't have access to the PDF. I'll make sure that you get access to that and everyone has it before they leave. Let me know in the chat, Malik, if, bing, perfect. And those of you on Facebook tuning in with us, you will get this. Malik will make sure you get this. So if you haven't registered through Eventbrite, this is for everyone, whether on Zoom, in the chat, or Facebook, please go ahead and put your email address and your name so that we can send this to you. This has everything that you need from today and for today. All right, the money train. Just like in the book, these are the 3 people that you want to have on your team. You should know or have some sort of legal defense, whether it's a friend you know. There are some free resources. If you're in Prince George's County, there's actually a resource center located on McCormick Drive, where you can sit down and talk to a legal advisor. Book a session with them, or find someone who you can confide in if you ever come in, if you have any conflicts that you need to resolve, issues with dealing with contracts, or don't quite understand all the ins and outs. A book keeper. So this is going to keep you from, when it comes time for taxes, having to pay extra fees and penalties because you did things wrong. Even if you're keeping a track of your own expenses in the flow, then have someone take a look at it. And then, of course, a tax preparer. Again, nonprofit organizations are out there. Don't just go to H&R Block. They will say it's free, but we know the deal. All right, we know the real tea. Okay, it's not free. Find someone that can help you. All right, so let's dig a little bit deeper into this. So TEE is a formula that I've actually developed that's going into a Broke Dancer's Guide to Success 2. So y'all hold me accountable because it's coming. Again, money and how you spend it, currency is energy flow. So it's the time plus your energy and your effort. And this is what I want you to think about as artists when you're taking on jobs and you're not quite getting your worth. So let me give you an example. Let's say you decide to accept $300 for a project. They're calling it a stipend. But what you're doing is you're actually spending 2 weeks. It's a 2-week project, and you're meeting for a total of 10 days. So that's about $30 a day. Let's think about transportation. It could cost you 30 to 40, sometimes even 60, depending on where you live. In 2 weeks, that's gas or train, depending on what city you're in. For $30 to $60 on transportation alone. The energy that you consume, right? That's about $15 worth it. If you go to lunch, right? If you hang out for happy hour, business meetings, and then miscellaneous expenses, those UFIs, not UFOs, UFIs, unforeseen Did I say that right? Maybe it's UFEs, unforeseen expenses. There you go. Like a ticket when you park. Oh my gosh, $50. And then incidentals, just in case anything happens. So that's your $300 right there. So basically you have just agreed for someone to exchange your time. That's not you actually getting the money that you deserve. That's not your full worth. So I go into depth about that in the second book. The next one is creating your ideal contract, printing and signing it. So we covered that already, but I want you to print it out. I want you to make it physical as an exercise and sign it to yourself to make sure that you are standing by the standard. We covered agency already, liberating yourself, finding freedom by running your own life as if it's an agency. All right. And then I just got a photo of tea up there because, you know, as we say as artists, spilling the tea. Moving on. So here we are, a challenge for many people, not just artists, but keeping track of your expenses. Now I've given in the PDF an example of a flow chart as to how you can do it. This is done manually, but you might also consider an app to automate the ways that you do this. Commingling is a common mistake that people make. The mindset is, this is my life. I'm an artist. I'm free. No, you are an entrepreneur. You are a business-minded, focused person. And so you're going to separate your expenses. You're not going to commingle your personal with business because that makes things confusing. So separate the accounts, make them different. You know, even if you have to open them with different financial institutions, banks, do that. So good credit. We covered the myth already that credit is an extension of your income. It is not. It is what you can afford to pay back to show your credit worthiness in this money matrix system. What this actually is, good debt, is a form of transaction with Uncle Sam. You're saying, let me get that money. Thank you. Put it in my pocket. Here you go. You spend it, you give it out. Thank you. You go to your income, your paycheck. Thank you. Put it in your pocket. And then you give it back to Uncle Sam. Here you go. Thank you. It is transactional. You are having a conversation and building good debt within the system. I still remember my grandmother told me, she said, you're going to be in debt. And I was in tears. I was like, what do you mean I'm going to be in debt? Why? It's just showing your credit worthiness, nothing to worry about. Okay, make your money work for you. You should know where your money is going. Assess your short term and your long term goals. Keep that at your forefront. Um, let's see. When you acquire funds, money, you have two kinds of savings accounts, or you should. You should have your building fund, where your investments go, where your business ventures go, where your stocks and trading and all of those things go. Then you have your short-term savings. This is for debt cancellation. This is for something that you're looking forward to, maybe a vacation or maybe a workshop or something that you've been longing to do for a while. But you have access to these very different kinds of accounts. And they're, for the long term, this is anything from opening up a bonds or a mutual fund or credit deposits or look into these things. Do the research. Don't touch this savings account. Don't touch it at all. Even if you have to just open a savings account and, I don't know, cut the card, do what you need to do to make yourself so accountable that you have to physically report into the place in order for you to have access to your money. Just saying, go that extra mile. All right. Then we have, okay, so this is something that is also covered in one of our blog posts on the website. So please do visit our website, ceocreative.org, and browse around in there. So I won't spend too time, but my heart is here for entrepreneurs and artists when it comes to contracts. Now, you should know that contracts are negotiable. As an independent artist, what you're actually doing is you have full control over yourself. And a contract are these five things. It's a legal, binding, or unbinding agreement between you and an institution or another person, but it must be legal. Number two, it must be mutual. You both have to agree to the terms. If you don't agree to the terms, why are you signing it? Number three, consideration. This is where you can start to negotiate. So this is where both parties have to consider one another. So as you're reading through these contracts, if something is not quite sitting well with you, you want to make sure that things balance out and that they're fair all around. Next thing is competency. Yeah, you as the expert, the professional, you're coming in fully competent. Therefore, you should be treated as such. Never be afraid to have a conversation. And the last thing is genuine assent. No one should force you to sign an agreement or to agree to things, again, that just don't make sense. And what's happening here, as I go into Tax Tab, which is also a chapter in the second book, what's happening with entrepreneurs, and artists is that we're being treated like we are employees, and the expectations and responsibilities are such that we are employees. However, they only want to give us a 1099. They only want to say that you are a contractor. It is on the irs.gov website that you can actually contend this. If someone is not acting within the fair rights and realms that they should be, as acknowledging you as a contractor without holding the responsibilities of an employee. Otherwise, they should be paying you as an employee. That means your benefits, your Social Security, and your Medicare. Okay? If you ever have an issue, you want to consult with Form 8919. Otherwise, if you make over $400, then you are responsible for reporting your estimated taxes. All right, moving on. All right, so here we go. I did cover this a little bit here when it comes to your savings, and we are wrapping up. Okay, the 5 tiers of savings. Emergency funds, So, okay, here we are. Emergency funds. It is said that you should have at least 6 months saved, stacked, and stored away as emergency funds to cover your food, water, shelter, and bills. Now, that is a heaping amount if we think about it all, which is why they gave us the 1200, right? Um, but that's a steep amount to reach for an artist. Start with a month, go to 3 months, and then eventually make your way to 6 months worth of savings if ever there is a pandemic again, a natural disaster, something happens to your home or your family. The next thing is your future fund. This has to do with your vision. What do you need to make your current as it is vision work for you? How much money does it actually look like? Okay, you put the glasses on, you see, you determine. The next thing is retirement. This is something that artists do not think about. Retirement is a fund, a real fund that artists have to do ourselves. There's something called an IRA. This is your independent retirement account. So you want to be putting 10, 20, $100 every month into this IRA account to build up and more. Don't stop there. As part of your building and planning for the future. Also, life insurance. I know this is something that is like really far out. Like, really, I'm not old. I'm well. I'm not gonna die anytime soon. It's not about that. You can actually pull money from your life insurance that you have invested into yourself in order to pull out if ever you need the money. And then an investment fund. Now, this is going to be a risky area here. This is business ventures. These are partnerships. This could even be family. Oh, yes. Sorry, sometimes I either talk too loud or talk too soft for the music. Yes. So this is risky when it comes to investments. And I want artists and entrepreneurs to keep this in mind because this word partnership and collaboration is being thrown around really loosely. But a true partnership is a partnership that has stake holding in it. That means money risk is at stake. And when you start to get money involved, it's risky business. This doesn't mean you should not do it. This means know that there is risk going in. It's the same with stocks. You have the risk of losing it all should the market crash, as we saw that it did, or should things go down. Thank you, Anna, for attending. Should something happen, it's a risk, but just know that. There are different models of businesses as an entrepreneur that you can set up. For an example, in corporations is where you can actually share funds and have shareholders with other people who you are in partnership with. Instead of having to 1099 them out, 1099, they are a shareholder of your business. They are a part of your venture. You are partners as you go forth and work together. That's just an example. And it's supposedly a little bit more cleaner when you have an incorporation as opposed to an LLC. But again, it works. It's whatever works best for you. You can register as a sole proprietor, but just know that's super risky because should anything happen or someone try to sue you, they're going to come after your personal assets. That's everything that you have, your car, your house, if you have it, any of those kinds of things. So that's why people leverage and go to an LLC or an incorporation, etc. Nonprofits. Don't be afraid to work with people and start a nonprofit organization. It's extra paperwork, yeah, but that's why you have your money train. You have your money team. I think I covered it all. Aha, no, I didn't. Returns, rewards, and credits. This is where you get to celebrate. That's that portfolio party I was talking about, Kimba. So this is when you go to do your taxes and you're like, all right, well, I donated $300 to that. I paid my student loans. You get your money back. Get those returns, get those credits, get those rewards, get your money back. Do not be afraid to spend. know that you are going to get it back as long as you stay organized. This is just a taste of what you'll see in A Broke Dancer's Guide to Success, the MRS system. So you have probably heard it before. Have multiple streams of income. This is the same thing, it's just flipped. This is actually where you put your income into. So multiple revenue streams is what I call it. And as you can see here, these are just ways in which you can put your money in different, pool it in different accounts and use it for these different purposes, right? So pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions, if you have any questions, then I will address them at the end. Okay, so we are wrapping up with the power of affirmation and intention. So I'm going to ask you this question again. Who are you? Are you broke, or are you an empowered decision maker? It doesn't matter if you're starting with 75 cents in your account. That's not who you are. It's what you do with that 75 cents or the next bit of money that's coming into your account that's going to be that leverage, that next step as you make decisions towards your worth. So go ahead, my people in the chat, and click on Slido again, the second prompt, please. Let's see. Thank you. And begin to now input your future thoughts based on what I've shared with you today, based on how you feel from our meditation earlier, based on affirmations that you may have already been working on, or based on maybe something that has inspired you. And begin to put in words and phrases that resemble, yes, ballin'. You better do that every day. Good. Ally is a great resource for starting your IRA. Awesome. You are brilliant. You better be balling. Money is your tool. Yes, be fierce, be wise, be everything that you already are. That's what it's about, is being everything that you already are. Yes, money loves me. My aunt used to say, I'm taking romantic trips to the bank. And I was like, she's crazy. But then I was like, wait a minute, that's real. How I feel when I walk up to the ATM. Am I happy? Am I excited? Am I lifted? Am I ready? What's actually going through my mind here? Awesome. Thank you so much. You all are beautiful. Got some beautiful people here. Let's see if I can erase And that completes today's Wealth Mindset Workshop with me, Kayla. Please consider getting a copy of A Broke Dancer's Guide to Success. Because I wrote it, because I'm a Black author, because writing this book came into my life at a time where I just knew I needed a change. And you all inspire me, the things that I see you do. I believe so much in artists because I know how brilliant we are. So if you have, indeed, if you have, which I hope you have, downloaded your PDF of the Wealth Mindset, you will see there two things. The fact that you can actually get this hard copy personally addressed and signed from me for only $10 plus shipping. So on Amazon, it's $10 for an ebook, but with me here per this workshop, you can get it as a hard copy. So do me a favor, you will see my email address in the PDF file. Please contact me and tell me just a little bit about yourself, and I will write a personal address as well as your address and send it to your home for just $10. So I'll tell you all about that. The second thing is there is a feedback link in your PDF file. I would so appreciate it, as well as I will link it here. If you would share some feedback about this workshop, if it's been helpful at all, any thoughts I look to improve and serve, and as well as some resources. The vocabulary glossary is there for you. A couple of the books that I go to, Smart Women Finish First, Susie Orman, The Budgetnista. Ooh, thank you for telling me. I will give permission right now. And stop the share. And I will open the forum for questions officially on the chat as well as Facebook. There we go. It's open to whomever. And I will open the forum for questions officially on the chat as well as Facebook.
So I'm going to respond actually, and then Kayla, I'll let you respond. We have a question from Tracy.
It's open to whomever.
From Tracy Webb on Facebook, who asked if we do these weekly. So Kayla is actually kicking off this series for the arts.
And I will open the forum for questions officially on the chat as well as.
I'm sorry, Kayla. I was listening on Facebook. It was a little complicated. Thank you. Yes.
You need me to mute or you
No, that was me. That was me. That was me. I was saying, sorry, everyone, for that confusion. We had a Facebook comment that asked if we did this weekly. And I was just sharing from the Arts Council that this is actually a bi-weekly series that we have started this Wednesday. So not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, we'll be back with another brilliant artist from Prince George's County. But Kayla, where can they learn more about your work? She asked if you facilitate this weekly.
Absolutely. So I spontaneously go live on my or our Instagram page. It's at CEOINC Arts, which stands for Creative and Equal Opportunities Incorporated. We are a resource site. You can find us at www.ceocreative.org. There we actually have a few live talks that are already up on our blog. And as I mentioned, we go live spontaneously, as well as there is an Artist Speaks series, of which all artists, if you're here as an artist or know someone who could benefit from this, will go on and share a topic of theirs as well. But as it pertains specifically to money and the wealth mindset, this is our very first Artrepreneur series with the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. any other questions, thoughts, anything that I didn't touch on that maybe you are curious about as an artist or entrepreneur, or just someone who is here today? It should, you should be able to access, I'll share it again. You should be able to now have access to the feedback form, even though I made that adjustment there. Thank you, Renee. Sending it now. And Malik can also share this on Facebook as well.
Yes.
There we go. All right.
I know we're nearing the end of time. I just want to say thank you so very much again, Kayla, for your excellent facilitation today. I know I left with some inspiration and some new thinking around money. So I'm glad you started with, it is an emotional journey. We carry the way we engage with money from our childhood to now. And so we do have some work to do around our relationship with money. So I just want to say thank you as an artist in Prince George's County and on behalf of the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. A big thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's attended today. Thank you to Malik and to Joshua for helping with the facilitation. Anyone who is joining and tuning in today, stay connected with them. Some great things are going to come about, and feel free to reach out to me in the many ways that I have shared.